Arizona's been hit by more than 1,600 wildfires since the start of the year, making this one of the worst years for wildfire activity in the state. Joining us now is John Truitt, Fire Management Officer at the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management. John, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Last I heard it was 1,200. Now I'm hearing it's 1,600. That's a lot of fire.
Yeah, it's a lot of fire going on in the landscape. It's above average that we're used to experiencing, and it's kept us really busy this year.
Compared to last year, what are you seeing out there?
We're seeing that what we talked about this spring, that continuous grass crop throughout the Sonoran Desert and the lower deserts. The fires are just have no natural barriers out there where a game trail or a two-track road or something like that would halt the fire for us. Now it's just a continuous fuel bed, and we're seeing basically our burn periods go 24 hours, so that we're having very active fire through the night.
The continuous burn bed is because so much rain kept areas that maybe were stark before now full of grass, I guess?
Exactly, yeah. Just in areas that really haven't seen fire are seeing fire now, and it's just that continuous vegetation.
You mentioned a 24-hour burn cycle here. These overnight temperatures, that's a real, anyone who's been up late at night or early in the morning knows it feels different this year. Does it feel different out there?
It is, the temperature-wise, and we're not getting those relative humidity recoveries at night. It's staying a little bit drier, and that's what fuels that grass bed that carries that fire through the night.
It seems like 1,600 is an awful lot of fire, and yet we haven't had the headline-grabbing, massive monster Magilla fire here. A whole lot covering acres, but not enough acres as one massive fire. How would you see this?
When you have the massive fires, it's more concentrated. We have resources in that area, and it's a sustained resource, sink. But when you have multiple fires like we've had this year, over 10,000, 20,000, multiple fires going across the landscape, the state, it really puts a draw on the resources because we have to respond to all those multiple fires going on, and that doesn't allow for us to concentrate them in one big area.
Is it easier to get resources from other states and other agencies when it is a massive fire as opposed to so many smaller fires in different areas?
The fire, the availability of resources to get them nationally really starts to depend on our PL levels or our fire danger levels. So as they increase and then that fire becomes a high priority fire through the nation, then we can receive outside help. And additionally, we joined the what we call the Great Plains Compact, which are 8 different states in a compact. Now we can go state to state instead of having to go through the whole national request for resources.
Interesting. As far as the monsoon is concerned, for some of us here in the Phoenix area, we got next to nothing, yet there are outlying areas that are getting swamped. How has the monsoon affected the fire season thus far?
Well, thus far, like you said, it's really spotty rain. And then when we get the spotty rain, we get a lot of lightning outside those rain bands. So we've had an increase in lightning fire, so it's really increased our initial attack and our responses.
So we have had an increase in dry lightning strikes?
Yeah, we went from about 400 last year to 600 this year as far as fire starts from that. The fire, the strikes have basically doubled in that. We can get an overnight average of 2,000 strikes.
And the fire season itself usually lasts from when to when?
Usually we start getting our extended attack fires, we call it, usually about March. And then we wait for that season-ending monsoon, which is about mid-July. And this year there has been no season ending. It's just been so spotty.
So could the fire season then go on into September and October?
We're anticipating a busy fall fire season this year.
Wow. All right. We mentioned dry lightning strikes as cause for fire. I know that there was a report that the Rose Fire out there that damaged and destroyed some homes in the Wickenburg area, that railroad maintenance may have been a factor there. Is that unusual? Construction, maintenance, these kinds of things, how often does that happen?
It's happening more and more now it relates to the fuels that are out there and the encroachment of developing those wildlands into urban interfaces now. So a lot of those fires of, like, say, the Diamond Fire, the Rose Fire, Simmons fires down in Kearney, a lot of these fires are basically started by, construction now.
Yeah, and we always, some people will laugh when they hear, don't drag your chains when you're driving up to the mountains, as if everyone's, riding around in vehicles that drag chains. But when you drag, that really is a factor, isn't it?
Oh, that's multiple starts along a stretch of road 3, 4, 5 miles, and that really stretches the resources.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, real quickly before you go, I know that there are people have been evacuated around the state. Every year, it's going to happen next year as well. What do you want to see people take when they're told to evacuate and get the heck out of there?
Well, and you've noticed anymore, it's almost immediate. There's very little time. So to have a go bag that has, phone contacts, medication, very important papers like, advanced directives, things like that, a small first aid kit in case, you have to wait to get to the evacuation center. A lot of those things are items you should have ready to go all through the not only this fire season, but during monsoon, flood, anything else.
In your experience, how often do people have these things ready?
Not really, not too many, because again, anymore we're getting those fires encroaching on urban interfaces within minutes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Hey, last question real quickly, back to the weather. We had an El Nino last year. That obviously meant lots of rain and snow, which means lots of grassland fires, which we're seeing right now. La Nina is forecast for this winter. What does that mean as a firefighter?
It's usually a drier pattern. So that's why we're anticipating a busy fall, because we're not going to get those early onset winter rains and whatnot. So that's what we looking at that. And then again, with the weather service, it's a kind of a maybe a 40-60% of if it's going to be dry or wet.
Yeah.
So you anticipate the worst.
But I would imagine high country might get the worst in a La Nina winter.
If they stayed as dry as they are now, they had that spring and summer rains. Now, if they stay dry through the fall, that's going to, dry out that fuel bed, and we'll have a busier fall fire season.
All right, John Truitt, State Fire Management Officer. Good information and good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ted.